Sí, uno, dos, probando, sí, uno, dos, sí. ¿Se escuchó o tiene mucha latencia? Uno, dos, sí, probando, uno, dos. Uno, dos, sí, probando, sí. Este está más fuerte, ¿eh? Tiene más ganancia.
Bueno, muy buenos días. Vamos a dar inicio a este seminario Interfacultades, organizado con la Facultad de Ingeniería, el Instituto de Data Science, Loreto Bravo, y con la Facultad de Medicina, el Instituto de Ciencia e Innovación en Medicina. Un seminario que, bueno, tiene el propósito un poco de poner los temas que se están discutiendo hoy en día a nivel ético y regulatorio en Europa, especialmente con la discusión sobre el nuevo propuesta de reglamento de inteligencia artificial. Y hoy tengo el placer de presentar a un amigo que nos conocimos tiempo atrás, estuvo en Chile en 2016, es parte de nuestra red internacional de bioderecho. Carlo Casonato es probablemente uno de los expertos más destacados en Europa en temas de bioderecho. Él es profesor de Derecho Constitucional Comparado en la Universidad de Trento, donde tiene un programa de bioderecho y una revista muy prestigiosa, BioLaw Journal, y ha sido también profesor visitante de muchas universidades en Europa y Estados Unidos, en Oxford, Harvard, en California, Berkeley, y ha dedicado el último tiempo mucho al estudio del impacto que está teniendo tanto ético como legal de la inteligencia artificial en muchas dimensiones de nuestra vida, y una de ellas es el área de la salud. Él es actualmente tiene la cátedra de Jean Monnet europea, de la Unión Europea de Inteligencia Artificial y Derecho. Así que para mí es un placer tenerte, Carlos, nuevamente en Chile, trayendo estos temas de discusión que son globales. Así que dejo unos momentos a la presentación de este seminario a José Munita, que es el director del Instituto de Ciencia e Innovación en Medicina. Le había dicho antes.
No, yo, aparte, es muy cortito porque no puedo esperar a escuchar la charla. Aparte de agradecerte, Juan Alberto, Eric, al observatorio completo, yo creo que esta es como la definición de lo que tenemos que hacer como instituto. Tratar temas como estos, que están realmente en la frontera y además juntándonos como universidad, junto con Loreto, con el Instituto de Data Science. Así que no puedo estar más contento y, without further ado, los dejo con Carlos. Muchas gracias, Carlos, por estar acá.
Gracias, José. Bueno, adelante, Carlos, con tu charla de presentación, y después vamos a abrir un espacio de debate y preguntas y discusión aquí.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Para mí es un verdadero honor, un privilegio estar aquí para intercambiar unas ideas que tengo sobre un tema tan especial como la inteligencia artificial. Para mí es muy difícil decir inteligencia artificial, solo la IA. Y la IA en medicina. Como ves, mi español es demasiado limitado, entonces permítame de cambiar al inglés. And so let me tell you that, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for the maravillosa bienvenida que Alberto y Eric me han reservado. Okay, artificial intelligence and medicine. I mean, the topic is actually very broad, it's huge and complex. And to be honest, sometimes we lawyers are not so concrete. Sometimes we lawyers are general. We speak in very abstract terms, not in concrete terms. And so I would like, on the contrary, to face this topic in a very concrete and specific way. So I would try to be as clear as possible, and in order to do that, I would like to I would like to divide my presentation in two parts. Using an inductive methodology, I will start with a case study, and then I will try to draw out of the case study a few ideas on the pros and cons of the deployment of artificial intelligence in medicine, for the patient, for the doctor, and for medicine itself. You know better than I do that artificial intelligence has many applications, from diagnostic, medical imaging, new drug development, nutrition, surgery, and stuff. I would like to focus on this case study. I don't know if you know this app, GP at Hand, General Practitioner at Hand, is an application created by a private company, Babylon, and it permits citizens in UK to deregister from the NHS, from the National Health System, register in the app, so all the charge of the citizen, all the data of the citizen move from the national health systems to the private company in order to give a better quality, this is the ad of Babylon, healthcare. The app works on 3 levels. If I, as a patient, register in the app, in the first level, I can, open the app, ask a few questions. I have a headache, and the app will give me some answers. If I'm not satisfied from this, very basic assistance, I can move to the second level. By telephone or by a computer, I can have a video consultation, a video medical visit with an actual doctor, with a human being, assisted by AI. So you will see that this app combines telemedicine with artificial intelligence. If I'm not satisfied from the video consult, I can have a face-to-face appointment, or the ordinary appointment. Usually, users of this app stay at the second level. They can have a video consultation in 4 hours from the first prompt. And anytime, day or night, so it's very timely, and it can be also very accurate. This is my case study, and I would like to show you what the doctor actually see when he or she received a call from a patient. This is the video, the screen that the doctor can see when the patient is calling him or her. This is Dr. Tagacha, and you will hear at the very beginning of the video, "Nice to meet you, I'm Dr. Tagacha, nice to meet you." And here we have the patient, Louise Reed, which is, in contact, in video audio contact with the doctor. Here there is the image, and here you can see that the doctor immediately, in real time, can see the past medical history of Louise Reed. I don't know if you can read it, but there is test result, prescription, timeline, treatments. So the doctor, Dr. Tagacha, can see in real time the medical history of Louise. Here, since the doctor cannot actually touch Louise, the artificial intelligence system built a digital twin with a degree of the level of the quality of her organs. So the heart is yellow, so it's okay. Liver is green, so it works good. And here you can see a general assessment, because Louise Reed, before going to before calling Dr. Tagacha, made an AI assessment on her conditions. The app also suggests questions to the doctor. And if you, maybe you cannot read, but if you see, you will see here, when we're going to watch the video, you can see here that the artificial intelligence suggests question to the doctor in order to have an as accurate as possible diagnosis. So you will see here a number of questions, and you will hear the Dr. Tagacha actually read the questions. The artificial intelligence, based on the past medical history and what is going on with the new data, build the diagnosis, actually, the live possible causes, and you will see that at the beginning of the video, the probable diagnosis is the Meniere disease. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of dizziness or, yeah. Yeah, and you will see that at the beginning it is 70–80%, and going on, the diagnosis will be more accurate. Another thing, well, here you will have the transcript, the entire transcript, because artificial intelligence can read natural language of the visit, and you will see some few green dots going on and off the face of Louis Reed. This is artificial intelligence that with a facial recognition systems read the emotions of Louise, telling the doctor, for instance, that she is worried, or she is fine, she's relaxed, or she's confused. She didn't, understand the question of the doctor. And here you will see a kind of warning, and you will hear Dr. Tagacha rephrasing, rewording his questions in order to be clear. That's it. I would like to show you and to make you hear more or less 1 minute of the video. In the video, you will see, you will hear Dr. Tagacha. Nice to meet you, Luis. I see that you completed your AI assessment. From the assessment, I see that you had, I don't remember, glandular fever, this kind of stuff. Can you confirm that? And Luis answered, yes, I confirm. And then I can see that something, and you will see the suggested question, do you have any pins and headaches? You will see, you will hear Dr. Tagacha reading actually the questions to ask to Louis Reed. Okay, we can hear the video.
Hi Louise, my name's Dr. Tagacha. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
So I can see you've completed our AI assessment, and from this, can I confirm that you've been having dizziness for a few months now with some hearing loss and also some ringing in your ears?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you look quite comfortable at the moment, so does the dizziness come and go?
Yeah, I don't have it at the moment.
Okay, and when you do get the dizziness, how long do the symptoms last?
A few hours at a time, I'd say, probably, yeah.
Okay, and does changing the position of your head bring on the dizziness? Sorry, what I mean to say is, do you get dizzy, for example, when you turn your head to look to one side or when you turn over in bed?
Oh, okay, no.
Have you felt sick or vomited when you get the dizziness?
No.
And is there anything else you wanted to tell me about your symptoms? For example, have you had any headache, any weakness, any numbness at all?
No.
Okay. According to our records, you also had glandular fever a few months ago. Has that all settled?
Yeah, that was awful. That's gone now.
Great. I mean, just looking at the blood test results from back then, they all came back normal as well.
Great.
So I would agree with our AI assessment. It looks like you're...
Okay, I would agree with the AI assessment. First question, can you imagine a doctor disagreeing with the assessment? But I'll be back to this later on. Let me draw a few notes out of this video. The first comments, the first comments regard the patient. I mean, we have a number of advantages for the patient Louise could call the doctor, anytime. She had a timely examination within 4 hours from the very first contact, and probably the artificial intelligence could make the diagnosis, the Meniere diseases, matching the symptom of Louise with I don't know how many thousand, maybe millions of symptoms and diagnoses. So the accuracy of the diagnosis probably is much better than the accuracy of a human being doctor because of the statistical powerful of artificial intelligence. Then you can say also that the relationship, the doctor-patient or patient-doctor relationship is enhanced because of the facial recognition, relaxed, worried. Maybe there are also some cons, such as if we look at data of the Babylon, 93% of the citizens registered in Babylon are less than 45 years old. And they have a good relationship with technology. Okay, so you can say that this is a kind of discriminatory technology because it permits advantages only for a few patients. Then there is the huge problem of discrimination, bias, and errors that in some way are encapsulated in the very algorithms. And here I refer to a number of studies mainly made in the US, where actually we can think that artificial intelligence is accurate, but we know that the bias, the discriminatory bias present in the AI is a huge problem. I don't quote a legal journal. This is the New England Journal of Medicine, 2018. Attempts to use data from the farming herd study to predict the risk of cardiovascular events in non-white population have led to biased results, with both overestimation and underestimation of risk. This is 2019, Science. This is pretty hard. Physicians use these algorithms to individualize risk assessment and guide clinical decision. By embedding race, these algorithms propagate not evidence-based medicine, but race-based medicine. So and this is, again, the New England Journal of Medicine 2020. And here there is a number of medical disciplines, from oncology to nephrology and other disciplines. Here. Results, at the end of the story, the physician paid more attention and resources to white patients than the member of racial and ethnic minorities. This is September 2022, so a few months ago. In medicine, substantial disparity exists with origin in systemic racism, implicit bias, historical practice. This framework highlights particular dangers that may arise through expanding the use of big data and AI-based systems in medicine. We cannot ban AI from medicine. Medicine could be so, beneficial for us, but you have to tackle it. You have to govern it in order to mitigate the risk of discrimination and to make the most of the potentials of medicine. Coming back to the pros and cons, another cons is related to the information. Everybody knows a lot about informed consent. Can actually artificial intelligence permit a real information? Can artificial intelligence tell the doctor the reason why there is a particular diagnosis, a treatment, and stuff? You here know that there is the black box problem, particularly in machine learning and in neural networks. You know that, also the designers know the input, They know the output, but what's going on here between the all hidden layers, the knots, the parameters? I'm sorry, I know that I'm very not specific and accurate, so correct me if I say something too inaccurate. But we know that here the complexity is so big that actually nobody can understand what is going on. And here there is the problem of the black box. So I want to put it in a kind of extreme version in order to offer issues to elaborate. Can you imagine, I don't know, in a triage system using AI? Okay, we know the input. The nurse or the doctor say, okay, Alberto, take precedent over myself. And I ask, why? Why? Because the machine told me that. Well, but why? Here there is the huge problem of the opacity of the AI systems. And if a doctor cannot explain the reason for a diagnosis, for a treatment, here there is a problem that doesn't only affect the relationship, but maybe can affect the entire legitimacy, acknowledgement of medicine, any professions, a lawyer, a judge, a public administration that cannot explain the reason for its decision. Well, there is something wrong there. From this point of view, for instance, in August 2021, in France, they decided to change their loi de bioéthique, the Code de la Santé Publique, and they decided to insert this duty for the doctor. A doctor who decides to use a medical device that includes algorithmic processing must ensure that the person concerned has been informed. Has been informed. You know, Louise Reed needs to know. In this case, she knows because there is the app. But anyway, when a doctor uses artificial intelligence, it's a good thing to inform the patient. Then the French law add where appropriate, the patient is to be informed of the resulting interpretation. Here there's a problem of interpretation, a problem of reasons. But, you know, we have somewhere an attempt to give information on that. Here, I quote this from the Hastings Bioethics Forum, because it's a very recent article, May 9, 2023. So, you know, it's an ongoing discussion. This is about pros and cons for the patient. What the pros and cons for doctors? Okay, here, of course, we have pro. A very flexible schedule. I can visit whenever I want, wherever I want. I am at the seaside, I am in the mountains, and if I have good internet connection, I can visit my patients. I can choose my work location. Someone says that in this case, I will have more time for maybe the more difficult patients, even though there are studies showing that this is not true, but, you know, it's a question. What about cons? Doctors registered in the Babylon app, they will have the easiest patient at all. Younger patient, maximum 45 years old. People with good, usually, lifestyles. So maybe the app is divide also the category of doctors in elite and non-elite doctors. And, excuse me, I don't want to be too provocative, but how many years here in Chile for getting a 7? Okay. Are we sure that in order to read the question an artificial intelligence suggests me, do I really need 7 years? In Italy, 6 plus, you know, speciality and stuff. Then, here there is another huge problem. You can imagine a doctor doing this kind of visit for years. Maybe here there is a trend of de-skilling. You know, the pilots in the plane, every, I don't know, every 6 months, every year, they are put in a simulator without artificial intelligence in order to make their skill awake in some way. Here, if we do not have something like that, in years, the doctor probably at the end of the story will be totally de-skilled. He will be used just to read question and to read diagnosis that something else is doing for him or for her. Yes, worried, relaxed, is a caring and trusting relationship. When you were listening on the video, I mean, was it a video, a medical visit, or a kind of call center? The human in the loop. Just a note on that. The human in the loop is the general ethical and legal principles which provide for a significant human role in the in the algorithmic decision-making process. We saw that the reasons are not transparent. There could be bias, error, discriminations, and so it is important, it is crucial that the human being exercise a really control, oversight on the machine. Okay, in order to do that, you need a doctor who understands a lot of computer science, because he or she has to understand the logics of the algorithms and stuff in order to really exercise a significant role. And then you need a doctor that takes the personal responsibility to disagree with the machine. Okay, in your experience, can you vest a doctor with all this quality? Of course, but it is a kind of hero. So I'm saying that the human in the loop risks to become a fiction, not a real control, just a stamp rep, a bureaucratic and formalistic control, not a real, significant, as a matter of fact, control. Here, let me give you the European perspective, the GDPR, the General Regulation Protection for Data, speak about the right not to be subject to a decision based solely on automated processing. The AI Act, the proposal of the regulation from the European Commission, speaks also about the human oversight. But the risk, as I told you, is that there is what a French colleague called in terms of effet moutonnier, which in Spanish could be
Efecto rebaño, diría yo, un efecto rebaño, es decir, seguir lo que...
Okay, the herd effect. I mean that, yeah, I know that I have to control the machine, the human in the loop, the human oversight, but okay, at the end of the story, I will agree with the AI assessment, as Dr. Tagacha actually confirmed. And this is a problem also because in time, you remember Meniere disease was 90%. In time, the tails of the, of the curve will disappear. In years, if every doctor tells that that is Meniere disease, in year, 100% risk to be Meniere disease. So someone says that the human doctor has to take particular attention to the tail, to the 10%, to the rare situation. So the problem, I won't say, well, the risk, I won't say that AI has to be banned, but we have to govern it in order to avoid or to mitigate as much as possible the risk of de-responsabilization, de-skilling, and at the end of the story, a dehumanization of medicine. And arrive with my very last point. What can tell this app for medicine, not for the patient, not for the doctors, but for the medicine as a whole? Of course, we can have a more effective speed medicine with more precision, accuracy, the possibility to match all the symptoms and stuff. We can also improve, enhance the relationship. There are countries where there are very few doctors, such as Rwanda, where a GP at hand is already used, and it can assure at least a contact between the patient and the doctors. But at the end of the story, is it medicine or is it actually a call center, as I already suggested? And let me just mention another potential problem. Babylon is a private company. Babylon suggests the doctor a particular diagnosis, a particular treatment, a particular drug. Is it possible and perfectly legal that the company make an agreement with a pharmaceutical company in order to suggest their drugs, even if they are maybe more expensive than other drugs? Here there are a number of studies made in economics on the potential conflict of interest of private company exercising a kind of public function such as medicine. Here again, we have to govern, we have to rule the AI, not to ban it. Okay, so let me finish just stressing the ambivalent nature of AI. Of course, the AI is here, is transforming our world, our work, is transforming medicine, law, public transportation, education, is transforming our students actually, and our way of thinking about ourselves, our experience. Luciano Floridi spoke about AI as a way that drives us into a on life, not just an online, but an on life. Our life is there, not an atmosphere, but an infosphere. We live there. They are speaking about not a technology like just another technology. It's a very special technology, specific technology with pros and cons, which are re-ontologizing our world, including medicine. So here actually is important, the human factor, in order to keep for us as human beings, human professionals, human doctors, what we can do best. Delegating the machine what it can do best, but without delegating entirely from a substantial point of view, because I told you about the risk of this human in the loop effect, which can be actually not effective. Let me end with a quotation. This is The Doctor Who Wasn't There, a book published in last year. Science and technology alone will never be able to deliver more just and equitable society, the human factor. Thank you very much.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Carlos. de esas mismas imágenes la había generado con el chat GPT, ¿no? Las imágenes que mostrabas antes. Claro, claro. Ahora le hace los PowerPoint, no los contenidos, pero las imágenes sí. Bueno, me imagino que se va a generar mucha discusión, yo creo que hay muchas preguntas. Voy a abrir con un tema que quizás muestra cómo se está dirigiendo hoy en día la política, la gobernanza de la inteligencia artificial según las visiones, ¿no es cierto?, de los países, ¿no? Países como quizás Estados Unidos, una posición más liberal, dejar que la industria o los proveedores de estos algoritmos tengan menos control en su producción, versus también China quizás con mayor control. Pero en este momento en Europa se está discutiendo una propuesta de reglamento, es decir, una norma vinculante para todos los países europeos y además con sanciones fuertes, para poder controlar, ¿no es cierto?, el diseño y la venta y el uso de algoritmos de inteligencia artificial. Y en este caso, como depende mucho de los usos que tú le des a la inteligencia artificial, ¿cómo clasificarías tú, de acuerdo a estas nuevas normativas, los niveles de riesgo que tendría esta aplicación? ¿Y cuál sería el proceso que tendría que seguir en Europa, de alguna manera, una aprobación, ¿no es cierto?, de seguridad y eficacia de este dispositivo o de esta inteligencia artificial?
How many hours do you have yeah, okay. I will be very short. Is this good for this? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, as you know, the European Commission published back in April 2021 a proposal for a general regulation of artificial intelligence. Last week, actually, a number of committees in the European Parliament began the voting process. What is the general structure of this AI Act? This AI Act divide artificial intelligence into 4 categories based on the risk of the AI systems. So the AI Act doesn't divide artificial intelligence in medicine, in public administration, in justice. It divides the use and the deployment of artificial intelligence into a category based on risks. There are unacceptable risks, unacceptable. And systems with unacceptable risk are banned, they cannot come into the internal market, such as systems that use subliminal conditioning for vulnerable people, causing physical or psychological harm, this kind of stuff. Unacceptable, they are banned. We have a category at high risk. Medical devices are exactly here. Then we have other 2 categories, low risk and minimum risk. Medical devices are higher, and it depends because it's very, very complex, but usually artificial intelligence deployed in medicine usually can be high-risk systems. In order to have a risk system in Europe, the provider has to respect a number of requirements. For instance, and here come the problems, transparency. Article 13 of the AI Act. The human oversight, the human in the loop, Article 14. Data sets. The systems have to be trained on clear, free of errors data sets, representative, taking into consideration also the category of the users of the. So any high-risk system has to be designed in order to respect these principles. If not, there will be no conformity assessment, and the system will not be able to enter the market. End of the story. These days are, the committees are a little bit working on these requirements because, they can be too rigid, too strict in order to have any medical device equipped with artificial intelligence on the market. Replying very shortly to your answer, probably medical device will be here. They will have to respect, in principle, a number of requirements. It's a work in progress. We will see the committee, the European Commission, the Council, if they are going to amend the act. But generally speaking, there will be as much as possible respect of, for instance, of these requirements, which are the most important. There are a number of other requirements, accuracy, cybersecurity, this kind of stuff. But those are the most important and also the most problematic requirements.
Well, in the meantime, I have a question.
Sure.
Transparency, in your talk, I got the impression that you pointed it out as a priority for the patient. But I also think it's very important for the doctor, in a way, for them to be able to criticize the suggested diagnosis and to be responsible, or at least feel that you are responsible of the outcome of it.
Absolutely. I think a crucial dimension of the trust that a doctor must have vis-a-vis the patient. And there is another dimension, if you like, because if artificial intelligence doesn't work, if there is a problem in the mechanism, in the algorithms, how can I fix it if I do not know where the problem is? ChatGPT, as I told you, has 175 billions of parameters. This is the magic, the computational and statistical magic of ChatGPT. Chat is not intelligence. It's a wonderful instrument of prediction of the most probable word following other words. But they have, ChatGPT has 175 billions of parameters. Okay, not machine learning medical devices this amount of huge, but of parameters. But if there is the black box problem, how can I detect where the error is and fix it? I have to train the machine again. And here there is another side effect of the black box for the patient, for the doctors, but also for the accuracy and the manage of the system, which is, very hard to do.
Abrimos las preguntas al público.
Thanks for your presentation. A couple of days ago, there was a study published where they showed that ChatGPT was able to give better medical advice than real doctors when, in a blinded fashion, they addresses the responses done by real doctors and ChatGPT in a written way. You criticize the example in terms of the empathy the doctor showed, but in real world, not always doctors are empathic as we expected they are. Can you comment on that, please?
Thank you so much, because you raised a very important issue and very general issue, because usually we judge artificial intelligence with a benchmark, which is the absolute perfection. On the contrary, if artificial intelligence can make a diagnosis, a relationship, just a little better, a bit better than human beings, why not? But we have to take in mind that there are risks, the discrimination, well, not in Europe, maybe not here, but in the US, the race-based medicine is a problem. Black box is a problem wherever, all over the world, and the capacity to select the right data set in order to train and validate the machine is also a problem. So you're right, usually we expect by the machine the absolute perfection. No, I mean, if it is a bit better than us, good. Make them, let them make what they do best, without replace what human beings can do best.
I have a question. Thank you for your talk. Fascinating. So I was wondering if you can comment on accountability again. So when the machine makes a mistake, or the algorithm makes a mistake, who will be accountable for that? Because we make mistakes all the time. And we are, as physicians, accountable for that. Most of the times, you don't get any consequence, because it's part of it's accounted for that you will make a mistake. Is that going to be regulated? And that's one thing. And the other one is, it's a sort of a general comment. After hearing your talk, I have a feeling that most of the problems most of the cons are not unique to artificial intelligence. So most of them were there before. Like, for example, virtually every medication we use, it's overrepresented for Caucasians. So when we treat a cancer patient here in Chile, we're actually basing all our information on Europe or the US. So that's a problem we had. Or the connection with the companies. Doctors already have a lot of connections with companies, so they're already biased towards one medication over another one based on economical principles. Probably we don't discuss that so much, but as we should, and this will probably reveal those problems better. What do you think about that too?
Thank you so much. Accountability. So far, from a legal point of view, the human being is accountable, responsible, and liable. Civil liability and criminal liability. Why? Because there is the human in the loop. So it is in the very interest of the doctor actually control the machine, because if something is wrong in a particular way, because we know that medicine cannot be exact, cannot be 100% accurate. But if something occurred that it is beyond the usual diligence, if there is a medical malpractice, the human being will be accountable. From this point of view, artificial intelligence has to assist, must assist doctor. In this video, sometimes it was the doctor assisting, giving voice to artificial intelligence, not the other way around. Because in any case, since artificial intelligence is conceived and legally conceived as a support to the human being is responsible and accountable and liable.
Wait, so therefore it'll never be a stamp, as you said, because you will have your interest.
Maybe I expect my doctor who give my best interest, not because it's defensive medicine. So I think that it can be another way it can be another drive for defensive medicine. but it can be, on the other side, a wonderful instrument in order to look back at ourselves. What I find fascinating in artificial intelligence is that artificial intelligence is a mirror. It obliges us to watch and to verify what are the characteristics of a doctor now. What can I delegate to a machine, and what I have to keep for myself? Artificial intelligence, why it can be more dangerous than, the cons are not unique. The cons are not unique. The problem is that a lot of people, a lot of patients can perceive artificial intelligence as the new oracle, as something which is always 100% perfect. Here, education is key, and it is very good. And I very appreciate that this talk is here at the University of Desarrollo, because education is key. We have to educate people from the elementary school up to, to professional training and retraining. That artificial intelligence, it has pros, but also cons, is not the new God, always perfect. And so it could be more risky because it is perceived as something which is always right, while it's not the case. And here again, artificial intelligence is a mirror because it obliges to see the place that the human being want to continue to play in our society and in, and in the future. What kind of doctor do we want in 10 years? Is Dr. Tagacha here? Is there doctor we would like for the future? Maybe yes, because, maybe his diagnosis is more accurate, there are cons, but there are pros. Artificial intelligence obliges us to think about what kind of humanity we would like for the future. And this is a wonderful, a fascinating challenge.
Thank you very much for your talk. It's been very impressive. And my worry is what a sick person needs. And if it's a complex situation, then it is a very complex decision. And you need exact data, which AI will provide and is providing, but you also need to weigh the values at stake. And that's called patient's preferences. And then all complex decisions are not really feasible with AI. But many of them, yes, they are, because they are simple things. But complex problems, which means the patient's best, the patient's good, morally. And that's the aim of medicine, to provide the best, the real best for each patient, mainly in very complex and maybe end-of-life decisions. What do you think about that?
Well, I totally agree. I can just comment this very deep and wise comment. An expert, Luciano Floridi again, speaks about the abilities of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is so good in exercise complicated tasks, is not able to exercise difficult tasks. What I mean, there are the tennis international championship in this day in Rome. Okay, take the example of tennis. Artificial intelligence is very accurate in detecting if the ball hit the lines or not. This is wonderful for artificial intelligence, much better than humans, because it is a complicated task. There is one variable, but it is very complicated, but it could be half a millimeter or something like that. And here, artificial intelligence actually replaced the human, referee. There is another task, which is not complicated, but it is difficult, which is I don't know the name in English, neither in Spanish, in Italian is raccattapalle. The boy taking the balls and giving, okay? ¿Cómo se llama?
Pelotero, I guess.
Okay, ball boys. This is not complicated. 5, 6 years, kid can do it, but it is extremely difficult. Nobody today can think about a robotic ball boys, because the machine has to calculate the force of gravity. He has to run, to think about the bouncing of the balls, to read the, facial of the players when it is the right time to. So there are tasks that are complicated, and here artificial intelligence is much better than us. But there are difficult tasks, because there are millions of variables, empathy, relationship, for instance, this kind of stuff, which maybe in 20, 30, 100, maybe never, artificial intelligence will do. In the meantime, it's better to keep difficult tasks for human. Maybe medicine is a difficult one.
Questions?
Thanks so much. I mean, just to be the devil's advocate, if we really think, just for the exercise, the human brain, it is a black box. And if a doctor makes a mistake, we don't know where to go and to fix in their brains. So I really think it's a mirror, as you said. And how can you put this into the equation?
I was afraid about this question, actually. No, because someone says that, it's not we must not think about a machine that can be neural networks that can become similar to our brain, but in fact, is our brain that it is a machine and working on flesh and something else, chemical and electrical reactions, that's it. So we are the real machine, and here we have the real black box. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I'm hoping in myself that we are not machines. And so, for instance, our self-determination, our free will is actually a human something that machine cannot have, because we are not just a machine. But when I speak with colleagues in Trento, in the university I come from, they're telling me, okay, explain me why our brain is not a machine. Maybe the complexity, okay, the complexity is a question of quantity, not of quality. Maybe there is something else. Maybe a lawyer is not the right person to address this. I don't know. What do you think?
There's one thing that I think makes a big difference, and it's the fact that we are training these algorithms with data. We can actually improve and probably give more information than what's actually being given by Babylon. For example, weakness. I think there's you had the digital twin, you had like different sections of the image, but there should be an area where you actually say the weakness. This data has, you know how it was trained. So you can actually provide much more information. Like, I don't know, it was the suggestion of the prescription uses more Caucasian data. Be careful, this data set had these issues. So I think the fact that we are putting more pressure over artificial intelligence than over us, it's because it's automatic. Like, there is some knowledge that we have that we need to make an effort to make transparent. So I think the working on showing how this is concluded or how it was trained is something that we have the possibility with artificial intelligence that we do not have with humans. So we can ask it and us, computer scientists, to actually put an effort on explainability of algorithms, on the risks associated to having algorithms that are not properly trained. Because there are a lot of issues, like computer science issues, that actually have an impact on how this turns out. In that sense, I think we need to work as a university and between the different disciplines, because now a doctor needs not only to be able to use the artificial intelligence, but know the risks, especially because it's human in the loop. They are responsible in the end. So they need to be able to say, hey, I don't want to use this. No, I don't know what data it was trained on. I'm not willing to work for Babylon if it's not going to tell me these things, because I'm responsible. And I might be liable if I give like a wrong answer. So I like the
I also have a very devil's advocate question. How do we avoid that not the human is controlling it or the AI is controlling it, but money is controlling it? How do we avoid that money, that lobbies buy themselves into the algorithm to recommend their own treatment, for example, over another treatment?
Well, this is actually a big issue, and I think that we need to address it, because otherwise it will be, very bad for our national health systems and for the public idea of a right to health accessible to all the citizens. I have to say that the European Union does not address the topic, but I cannot blame European Union, because the European Union, is a strange thing. It's not we do not know what is, but we know that it is not a state. European Union can regulate on artificial intelligence as a product. This is the jurisdiction, the matter, the subject that the European Union has the legal basis to rule on. A product, as a printer or as a computer, we know that it is not, because the pervasive nature and the transformative, the re-ontologizing nature of AI is something different from a printer. But European Union has, it can do what it actually is legally competent to do, and we probably need other levels, other agreements between states, between continents, but try to put together, I don't know, the US, China, Europe, and see if they can share some values. Good luck.
Ahora sí. Hi, thanks a lot for the talk. I have a legal question, so sorry everyone, but in Chile we are currently under development of a discussing a new law data protection. So we are importing a lot of the GDPR criteria, and also in cybersecurity, we are adjusting our law to the NIS2 directive. So we are like replicating Europe's path. But the question that has a lot of complexity is which basis for the processing of data is the best one, because it's complex to think in an extreme ex ante, like a really curated database is pretty costly. So you may rely on legitimate interests, like we don't ask for consent and we like pseudonymize and raise the data set and export it, but it is pretty easy to throw an injunction. So ex post is pretty cheap to stop the processing. For example, ChatGPT and the restriction for the DPA is the case. In Europe, it was the other way around. It was copyright is more strong because of the right. The DMCA allows a pretty fast and cheap mean to, based on copyright directives, to stop the processing. So in your opinion, which is the best way to address this practical concern? Because it's pretty complex, because in universities you can say this is a doctoral research, you can rely on public interest, it's pretty easy. But when you say now let's make it a business, it doesn't translate one-on-one. You have public interest and you're going to charge a price, it changes a lot of the reasons why you are treating that data. And when you make that change, it's pretty easy through a lawyer to an ONG, NGO, or an authority to stop that activity. For example, the Babylon application. I was watching the video and thinking like, there is like 10 ways a lawyer in Chile could stop that application from working. So what's your perspective on that?
Very complex, and I'm not able to reply accurately. Well, generally speaking, I think that we have to take into account that some functions are not just private functions. And so in some way, since there is a privatization of public function, health, education, justice, public administration, because the use of AI in some way encapsulate private interests in the public decision process. The problem is to allow private company to select public values. So we can try to correct this process of privatization of public functions with an opposite trend. We can try to publicize the private. It's not expropriation, but for instance, someone is asking that since there is an IRB in the decision-making process to have a drug in the market, why we could think that since AI is as much beneficial but also risky than a drug, why can we think about the intervention of an independent committee in the conformity assessment for the algorithm? We have that for drugs. Why not having the same independent control on something which is more powerful than a single drug? For instance, this IRB, the Institutional Review Board, this ethical committee could think about and control protection of rights, protection of the ecological dimension. We know ChatGPT has a ecological fingerprint, incredible. I mean, it's a huge problem, AI, for the climate change. So maybe we can think about something like that, make some extra ingredient of public responsibility in private company. Mm-hmm. That could be a solution. Other experts suggest that, you know, since algorithm is not neutral, the impact of AI is wider, and we have to make algorithms built by interdisciplinary team, not just ICT or computer scientists, but computer scientists along with, I don't know, a philosopher, maybe a lawyer or an anthropologist, someone that can realize the impact and can help, not block, but help to make an AI more, you know, trustworthy, human-centered, and this kind of stuff. Someone speak about algorithmic democracy, but you know, this is something very strong.
I would suggest that you take a look at the ACM, the Association of Computer Machinery, has 7 principles that they suggest for algorithmic transparency. And it's quite interesting, and it suggests like 7 principles to ensure that nobody can just say, you know what, oh, it was the machine who said it, or, and how to keep track, auditing is part of the principles. So.
Recomendación técnica de la directora del Instituto Data Science. Bueno, queremos agradecer mucho a Carlos que nos haya podido traer la discusión que se está dando viva en Europa respecto a la regulación. Así que un aplauso enorme a ti. Por la generosidad de tu comentario y tu análisis.
Thank you so much. I hope that you learn as much as I learned from your question. Okay.